You're listening to the New Dominion podcast, where we engage in curious and faith-filled conversations around stewarding your health and community with others. We're so glad you're here. Let's get started. I am Kirsten Hansen. I'm a functional nutrition practitioner in St. Louis, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Abby Keene, who is a chiropractor and functional nutrition practitioner as well, and her husband, Taylor Keene, who is a licensed counselor in St. Louis. And today we are going to be talking about chemical health.
Yay!
Yay.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Last week we introduced did we call it the triangle of health?
Mhm.
Yes. And we talked about the physical aspect. Today, we're going to be talking about the chemical aspect of our health, and then next time, emotional health. So, chemical health.
Here we go. What do you think chemical health means, Taylor?
Well, the first instinct and impulse goes to high school chemistry class, which was not a good experience for my artistic brain. And then taking chemistry again in college and still feeling like I just am never going to understand this. And so there's a flush instantly of going, chemistry. But after that, let me say, if I wasn't married to you, I'd probably have a much different response. But having been married to you and know what you mean by that, I'm a little bit biased. So, but for me, the chemical side is like how our bodies are reacting to the chemicals that are around us, whatever they are, however we get them. So,
I mean, great job. We could just shut it down right there. There you go, everybody. That's what chemical health means.
great.
I always think about how being a physician, like we have a lot of organic chemistry and biochemistry classes. So like our body is run off of biochemistry, right? Like all the things, neurochemistry, which you deal with, Taylor, is biochemistry. It's all interactive and interreactive. Is that a word?
Interactive.
Interactive and reactive. And it affects how our bodies work. So when we introduce new chemicals, new substances, food is made out of biochemicals. An apple, right? Those micronutrients are going to come in and affect our physiologic pathways. So that's why people say you are what you eat, because it's all, so kind of everything that you ingest, we could say is a chemical. Water, food, the air you breathe, all of that can fit into your chemical health.
And it's not just we're taking in all of these chemicals. We actually have chemical responses in our bodies that are flowing all the time. And then the way that internal experience of the biochemical environment that it's in our bodies interacts with the chemicals in the environment around us.
Yeah. And we have no idea, really. I mean, I love that about science. There's so many conversations in the last 5-6 years about science and trust the science, but science is ever changing. Like that's the core premise of science, is that you always are doing hypotheses and testing the world around you to see if it lines up with your hypotheses. And the more that you keep asking questions, the more you learn and the more the science changes, right? So things that we declared in the 70s and 80s and 90s to be true, we now look at that and say, nope, that's no longer true. We were wrong, which is not I don't think it's a bad thing, right? We're just humans. We don't know everything. But things that we're saying now, we're going to say in 20 years, yeah, we weren't quite right about that.
Well, I also think that it's not just change; it's also the depth of understanding.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, some of it is we were just flat wrong about cigarette smoke. We told you that pregnant women could do that, and it was fine. Everything's great. And now we're like, no, that's like sucking on an exhaust pipe, and your lungs don't like it. Don't do it. But I was just thinking about sunlight. We've always known that sunlight creates, this opportunity for vitamin D to be produced in your system.
Mhm.
But we haven't until recently really understood that the different lights that sunlight produces throughout a day, from morning, noon, mid-afternoon to evening, that all changes your brain chemistry too.
Yeah.
And you need all spectrums of those lights for your brain to kind of have a circadian rhythm and have understanding of kind of space and time. And so there's a lot of happening in just our depth of understanding, because really we don't really understand the brain much at all. We have some, And we have some conceptions and we have some good guesses and we can track a brain chemistry or how your brains light up in reaction to things, but we don't understand how memories are stored. We
Yeah.
can tell you where they're stored, but not how. Right. And so,
Yeah. Good point. And yeah, I'm going to stop right there. I lost it. I was going to say something, but I lost it.
okay.
What are you guys hoping that people take away from this episode? Where do you hope to go?
I can speak in a much shorter time period than Abby about the emotional part of the chemical stuff. After that, we'll see where the road winds and takes us. But just that, for me, understanding that everything that you ingest, food, air, water, whatever it is, it affects your emotional state. Like that it doesn't mean it's like huge swings. It can be, but I think it's just contributing. Like if you continually eat Captain Crunch every day and never actually have a vegetable or protein, like you're not going to function well. Your brain will be foggy. You won't have clarity of thought. You might start forgetting things. You might just be depressed and never get out of bed. So like there's correlations in these things. Like you are what you eat, but like it really supports your brain's ability to be engaged in the day, like is what I think chemical kind of comes into this. And so there's a lot kind of in the neurochemical environmental things of these things, but like I just a general statement, like pay attention and like can we just again provide the disclaimer, we are not experts and we also eat junk food. Like
right? That's a great. I'm so glad you
because
said
like
that.
I mean
I'm so glad you said
people
that.
come when they see Abby. I mean even people that have known us for years and they're like, oh, it's your birthday, but I guess you're going to get one of those like highly organic non-sugar based carrot cake birth cakes that's going to taste like eating cardboard with a smear of glue on top. And I'm like, no man, I'm going to drink a beer and eat a hamburger with my friends. Like, and so like
Yeah.
I think understanding like it's not about being defined in a dualistic it's wrong or right. I think it's more like how do you balance, and as you get older you have to make different choices. I can't do the things I was doing at 22 now
Right.
50. God, I said that
Right.
online. Oh God. And so so I can't do those same things. Alcohol isn't my friend as like it was. I can't rebound
Well,
rebound as quickly.
it was never really your friend, but
You can't tell my 22-year-old self that's not true. That he was my friend. Not it wasn't a bad friend. It was just we hung out sometimes.
yeah.
So, but yeah, that relationship isn't the same as it was. Same with food.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think it's just helping understand like everything you do affects your system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Well said.
And how you balance it, but also how like wanting, I think our desire is to want people to understand what these different foods and drinks and chemicals in the environment do affect their bodies so they can make informed decisions about where they're willing to give and take and what they want to say no to.
amen.
Yeah. And I mean, go back to episode 0, y'all. Like, our goal is to help you understand, or maybe it was episode 1, but like this information today, put it through the test. Like, is it educating you and empowering you? Does it create fear? Is it just a band-aid? Like, my goal, like you said, Kirsten, is just to educate you because you might not know. And I'm just going to like state the elephant in the room as well. Like, some of the things I'm going to say right now politically are heated. The whole Make America Healthy Again movement is huge, but there's a lot of divisiveness in that. For the record, I think I'm registered to vote as an independent. Like, this is not a red or blue thing. This is just my experience as a physician for the last 17 years, what I'm seeing in the practice of extreme chronic illness crippling so many people and younger people, not just chronic illness in our 50s and 60s and 70-year-old population, but I'm having women come in at 18, 23, 26 with periods, female hormone cycles that are so dysregulated, that are so different than what I saw in the 90s as I and my friends were going through our cycles. And so I don't think that anybody who's over the age of 25, 30 would argue with me about we're just sicker than we were, right? I didn't have peanut allergies in schools when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I'm not ancient. I'm 45, like
Oh,
in the
Kirsten, you got to
80s.
say your age now because we're just all outed. So,
39.
okay, there we go.
I'll be
But we
40
just
this year.
Woo!
Everybody get ready.
I know. Yeah. So it's more out there. I actually just saw, I was telling Taylor this morning, tomorrow's the Super Bowl, right? So all these advertisements. Mike Tyson is going to be doing a commercial about literally the title, the big white block letters on a black screen is processed food kills.
Mm.
So they are hitting it hard. And, I get it. It's the Super Bowl. You got 30 seconds. You have got to make the biggest statement. But he is speaking to obesity, type 2 diabetes.
As people are ingesting Doritos and being
I know, right? In the midst of all those beer commercials, it's going to look different. And they're trying to get the best part is that they're playing off of him biting that guy's ear off a couple decades ago. Because
Evander
it's like,
Holyfield. Oh, yeah.
I think the hashtag is like bite like Mike or something like
Oh,
that.
God.
And so he's like biting into fresh apples. Like it's great. Like I
Great.
can't wait.
Great. I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
Because you got to bring levity somewhere. At the end of the day, at the end of this episode, in fact, dear listener, you may be like, oh my gosh, I can't like go outside without being loaded with toxins. I can't. What am I going to eat ever again? Fear will set in. Like I've been there. Taylor can tell you.
Boy, ever.
Like,
Yeah. We can go. That's a whole podcast episode itself.
right? But as a mom, especially, like I did everything I could possibly do in my pregnancies to be healthy. And when Amelia, our oldest, first came, I breastfed, I nourished myself. When she started eating foods only, we were broke and I was investing money in organic food for her. I was making our own food for her, working my tail off to start a business and feed her really, really well. And it worked. We did it. Yay, us, right? We limited screen time. I did everything right. And I think every family who has more than one kid is going to resonate with this. But Jules comes along and we're in the throes of creating Crossroads. I am trying to work. I'm trying to then make her.
I'm in the middle of seminary.
Taylor's in the middle of seminary. Jesus is paying our bills, literally. Literally. I don't know how we didn't get foreclosed on. And I can't. We're living off of rice and beans, y'all. Like, there's no way I can buy organic. And there is like the stress and the fear and the anxiety that I had thinking that I couldn't provide non-toxic food for her at times was,
Emotional.
like
It was emotional.
yeah, it was debilitating because the fear of that and the what ifs and the cancer worries, and like all the things that we think about, who is real. And there just came a moment where I was like, Jesus, we're gonna die. We're gonna die. Like we're all gonna die. Like we're not here forever. It doesn't matter how clean you eat. It doesn't matter. Like it matters. But at the end of the day, like we can only do what we can do. And so now, anytime I get into that fear response of, oh my gosh, like my kids are eating Cheez-Its every day. I don't know, whatever. I say, name of Jesus. Like, name of Jesus it. Jesus is more powerful. He heals more things. And we're not meant to live perfect, unharmed lives. Like, if God forbid we get cancer, God's going to do something in it. He's going to guide our hearts. He's going to sanctify our hearts. He's going to grow our dependence on him. I cannot micro control every detail of the rest of my life, Taylor's life, our kids' life. Like, I don't know.
I thought you just started a point and said Kirsten's life.
Kirsten's life, everybody. We just can't. But I hope this episode just brings your awareness up a notch so that you can change one good thing, that you can move toward a space of like, if you didn't know something, hopefully you learned something in today's episode and it helps you realize like, oh, I didn't know that, or oh, I'd like to learn more about that. Or just it's a curious and faith-filled conversation, right? That's all it is.
So, Abby, moving from that kind of like looking back over the last 15 to 20 years, from that fear state where you were when you were going through chiropractic school and you first had Amelia and were raising her, to where you are now, what changed and what do you focus on as important when you're thinking about chemical health now?
Well, I mean, it all has to be done in a budget. And so, that's really the breaking point for me at the beginning was we literally were broke and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And so it really was a space of like faith of like, Lord, I can't, sometimes knowing too much is debilitating.
Yeah.
Like, and that's where I have entered into as a practitioner is like, I'm constantly searching for what's going to help my clients, and the research that we keep doing on chemical health and chemical additives. And maybe we should do some defining here before I get into all this, but we can't know it all. We can't run from it. And so really, like I said, name of Jesus, like my faith is what has helped a ton. And to also realize, like, for me, if we go to the triangle of health and we talk about physical, chemical, and emotional health, if I'm so stressed about the chemical health that my emotional health starts tanking, now I've got two sides of my triangle that are crashing.
Which is going to pull down your physical health into probably lethargy and depression. So,
right. And I have clients who are so stressed about the chemicals and the things, and always, like we talked about this in one of the first couple episodes, that like striving for control versus stewardship and engaging in your responsibility. Like, you can do the best you can in the moment that you can. But if you're striving so much to control what you're eating, what's in your home, what your organic clothes or mattresses, if that creates a stress level that causes you to snap on your kids and treat them bad, to disengage from your husband and not have fruit-filled conversations, or just be like riddled with anxiety personally, like something's got to give, right? Like we've got to change our perspective. And so it's a whole picture. It's not just one thing. And honestly, that's my name of Jesus thing. Like, I have no scientific backing for this thought, but this is what brings me the most peace. If we go out as a family and get a toxic cookie cake from Deerberg's, because that's what my kids want to celebrate a birthday, and we have a wonderful evening together playing games and eating this cookie cake that has food dyes and processed seed oils and sugar.
Deerberg's is a grocery store in St. Louis, for those of you outside of here.
Thank you for clarifying. Like, and we do that as a family, and like we have a great memory created around there. In my head, the joy and the community that came out of that time well surpasses the toxic load that we just took in. Like, that's so much more important, right? Now, if there's leftover cookie cake and the next day nobody's home and I scarf down the rest because I'm a sugar addict and I can't say no, and I eat that alone in an anxiety
for breakfast.
It may happen. then there's an issue we need to talk about, right? That's not necessary. I'm being more gluttonous in my heart. I'm lusting for something that isn't going to build me up. Like, that's something that we can have a conversation about, and Taylor can come home and say, where'd the cookie cake go? And I can be like, I ate it for breakfast after everybody left the house, right? Like, that's a space to learn and grow and be sanctified in.
Abby, do you remember when you were in chiropractic school and you came home one day and you were like, I gotta be honest about something? And I was like, oh God, what is it? And she's like, I buy Snickers and I hide them in the car and I eat them.
Like, I forgot about that.
I was like, what? Like, she's like, I hide the wrapper so you don't know. And I'm like, like, I didn't know what to do with that then, and I'm not really sure what to do with it now. I just thought it was a funny story. But like, because I guess maybe I want people to know like that. Yeah, this is a journey that has lots of peaks and valleys, ups and downs, and we've gone through a lot, we've experienced a lot, but that doesn't mean that like we've ever settled into rigidity for a long period of time. Like I think there has been rigid places, but we've managed to kind of exhale, open our hands, like kind of see a fuller picture than just this one. Because as I think I remember I said last episode, what you focus on, you give power to. And as you give more increased awareness and power to like I have to pay attention to these things, then you're going to pay attention to it because you will start seeing things that you like. You're going to start writing that narrative, right? You're going to start noticing things you never noticed before, which is not necessarily bad, but what's the meaning that you're making of it? That's where we start getting into trouble because now we start assigning emotions, like intentionally or unintentionally, to these things that we're paying attention to. And now we're writing stories, and now we're creating disconnection. And now we're in a place of like over functioning, hypervigilance, never resting. And it's all because we didn't get the organic spinach. You know, we're like, man, okay, like there's other ways to do this. It's okay, you know? So
Yeah. Kirsten, as you kind of mentioned this a little bit, Taylor, but I mean, you talked about that a little bit in your story of like just noticing, like, let's take food,
Mm-hmm.
noticing how certain foods affected you. You know, we're talking about Mike Tyson and processed food kills.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was that like? How did you do that? You know, like, because I don't know if everybody connects
Mm-hmm.
food and how they feel, especially like you said, Taylor, like when you're 22-year-old Taylor, you know, unless you really drink a lot, most now, again, here's the difference because kids now feel that. Like I have 15-year-olds in my office who don't feel well. Their digestion is horrible, but it's because they're raised on chicken nuggies, dino nuggies, and Kraft mac and cheese, you
Yeah.
know? And in the United States, they aren't regulated the way they're regulated in other countries. So the food additives really do change the function of their
Yeah.
body, right? Matter has limitations. And if you have been exposed to toxins for multiple years through food additives, unbeknownst to you and your family, right? I'm not judging anybody. It's life. But it does break down function. So I'm just curious, like, how did you go about kind of understanding that connection and figuring out what foods affect, like what did that look like practically for you?
Yeah. Number one, I think I'm very aware of my body and just probably always have been to some extent, and also have learned to pay attention to that. So I think initially the way that I felt that was just through a lot of chronic pain, and then I mean, when when our bodies are sending us messages and we are paying attention to that, a lot of times they just get louder. And so I think for me, that showed up in pain in my body.
Mm.
But I met with a nutritionist in college who, at the recommendation of a counselor, who really helped me understand. I mean, one of the things that she walked me through initially was, I want you to rate every time you eat, before you eat and after you eat. I want you to just rate how you feel on a hunger and fullness scale. Like, are you eating and paying attention to like, how am I doing emotionally around, like there are other pieces around that, but really thinking through like, how do I feel as I'm going into this meal, and how do I feel afterwards? How does my body feel? And just initially paying attention to how full I was, I think that was
Mhm.
my initial learning, and also being given permission to pay attention to my body. But now I think that's changed over time. I mean, when I first started seeing a counselor in St. Louis, I walked into her office and I was like, I don't get mad. And she was like, okay. And then there was one day, probably a couple of months in, where I was like, I'm so mad. And learning how emotions, I think people giving me space to, one, acknowledge and pay attention to my body is full, or my stomach feels empty and I'm hungry. And then also paying attention to emotions and how I felt those in my body and how that connected to what I was eating. And slowly there have just been pieces over the last 25 years that have increased my ability to be aware of how things feel when I put them in my mouth. And so now, like I love chocolate. I have already it's 10:40 a.m. and I need
How much?
everybody.
How much?
What?
How much have you had
Yeah,
today?
I've already had half of a huge chocolate bar.
Half?
But okay, so this is a
Yep.
perfect
Half?
space. So
Yeah.
let's talk about this.
Can I go there?
She does. Okay,
Look, yeah,
let's
go
go.
ahead.
Like, I haven't done any definitions yet. So we've had all this conversation. Okay, I got to put the readers on because I am almost 46. Okay, let's talk about this. I forgot my
Okay, hold on.
note.
While you look at that, I'm going to finish my sentence.
Okay, sorry.
So I've already had half of a huge chocolate bar. I love chocolate. I grew up loving chocolate. My grandmother loves chocolate. My mom loves chocolate. Chocolate has been a part of every function.
Can you tell us what a huge chocolate bar is? Please?
Yeah, I'm going to get there.
Okay.
So, but I grew up eating Hershey's chocolate kisses and Hershey's bars. That was my favorite, Hershey's milk chocolate. And there's this place, you talked about Kennedy's Donuts. There's a place in Memphis called Denstall's Chocolate. I grew up eating Denstall's milk chocolate. At some point in this whole game, I started realizing the way that when I put this chocolate in my mouth, I can taste the chemicals. Like I can taste, this is not like there's a film that's left on my tongue. There's like extra drainage in my throat. I can feel it. What happens if I switch over and like start trying other chocolate brands? And so I tried several different kinds. The one that I landed on that felt the best when it hit my tongue and like has had zero negative effect on me. We can
That we know of.
the least negative
We're going to
effect
name it Jesus that one.
has been Hu. The brand is HU chocolate. Hu chocolate. And I eat a lot of it.
It's typically dark chocolate that you eat?
I eat a lot of it. I eat a lot of it.
Is it dark chocolate?
It is dark chocolate.
It's dark chocolate. My favorite. I could give you all my favorites, but go on.
That's okay.
I said they do have milk chocolate, but Kirsten's eating the dark chocolate.
Well, I think it's just to point out that dark chocolate actually has health properties for your body in a chemical sense that milk chocolate typically doesn't. I mean, I'm not saying
it doesn't have as high of a cocoa content.
Yeah.
And that's what brings in some of the health benefits.
Nutrients. Yeah.
So
I love that.
I think all that to answer your question, how have I, like, what's that been like for me to pay attention to? That's like the chocolate piece is an example, but I think I can tell a lot, like through those small ways of paying attention to my body and being mindful of how things feel in my mouth and how I feel physically after I eat them. Translates into other things, and I can go, oh, popcorn sometimes is okay for me, and sometimes I feel really crappy after I eat popcorn. Abby, what did you start to say?
So I was just going to say, let's get into some definitions because there's a lot of stuff I wanted to say in response to what you were saying about the Hu versus the Hershey's. And I just wanted to kind of define chemicals. You know, we defined it as anything you're putting in your body that can be food, drink, water. We did not mention what you can put on your body. So one thing to recognize also is that our skin is the largest organ of absorption. Like, we really take for granted how porous our skin is and how much it soaks in whatever we put on it. So this could be lotion, it could be suntan lotion, it could be medications, it's water, taking baths.
What about Axe body spray? Is that chemicals?
Axe body spray.
Deodorant.
Kirsten, what deodorant, right? There's so much that we put on our skin that we don't. Makeup, there's a lot. Baby powder, whatever, right? There's so much that we use, but water is a big one. I mean, you just don't think about how much you're absorbing water as you take a bath or take a shower. So those are all ways that things come in, okay? I'm just going to look at my notes here to make sure that I cover kind of the educational portion. Now, one thing that has happened really since World War II, World War I, World War II, is this industrialization of all the things. We've really started to be able to play with chemicals. A lot of it was like in munitions and chemical warfare, but we really started using chemistry in the 1900s to start developing these things, different plastics, right? Like there really wasn't plastic around until mid 1900s, where now, I mean, I think about that often. Like when I have memories of being in my great grandparents' home, there wasn't things that were plastic, right? And then you look at our homes and there's so much plastic. And so in the 70s, the EPA passed the Toxic Substance Control Act. And it was their goal to like, we gotta put these things somewhere, right? We gotta make sure we have like a log. We know what all these things are. And so they made this act and started accumulating documents and all the stuff on the chemicals that are being made. And these chemicals are more plastics, organic or inorganic chemicals, polymers. That's kind of a plastic thing, right? So they're bringing all these items in. And I think my notes say, I just got this off the EPA's Toxic Substances Control Act website, but in 79, there was 62,000 man-made chemicals. And that was in 79, right? So now they're hitting around 86,000. And that website hasn't changed since I found it about 3 years ago. So, I mean, I imagine we're an innovative society. I imagine we're creating more and more. But as I dug into that yesterday, kind of in preparation for today's conversation, what I came to realize that I did not know is that those chemicals do not include any food additives, any pesticides or herbicides that we use. It doesn't talk about any cosmetic products, so lotions, supplements that we take, pharmaceutical drugs that have been created, any tobacco or tobacco-related products. All of those things are not regulated by the EPA. Those are regulated by the USDA and the FDA. So that 86,000 chemical list from the EPA has nothing to do with the food that we're ingesting, the products that we're using day to day on our body and our face. And I mean, any food and drink, right? Alcoholic beverages, sodas, whatever. None of that is listed in the chemical stuff. So that really blew my mind. And I did not spend time looking into like, does the USDA have a registry of all these things? Does the FDA? I really don't know. And I imagine from just what I know and what I've learned the last few years with patient health is that I don't think there is. And a lot of it, unfortunately, has to do with lobbyists and big companies creating these things. You know, we were laughing before we got on here today about Christmas Vacation, right? Like perfect example of
The
food
movie Christmas
additives.
Vacation, not
The
the time
movie
period of
Christmas
year.
Vacation with Chevy Chase, like that's one of our family favorites. And I mean, when did that movie come out?
1988.
87? 88. Okay. Oh, look, that's close. 88, Clark Griswold, right? Main character works at a
89.
huge
Might
food.
be 89. Might be 89. So
Okay. Either way, he works at a big food company, and his job, like what he's pushing that whole movie, is his non-nutritive, has no nutritional value. What is it? Food varnish?
non-nutritive food varnish
Cereal.
that really clings to
Cereal
the
varnish.
to
So it's a
the
layer
flakes.
of chemical. It's a layer of chemical that has no nutritious value to keep the flakes from becoming soggy in your milk. And we laugh because we love Chevy Chase and we love that movie and it's hilarious. But then he also uses it to like lube up his sled. So, and it goes flying, right? And so just the space of like that, it's a real thing. These nutritive additives that they're making and putting into processed foods, they've been doing it for decades. It is 2026, and that movie came out in 87, 88, right?
I just
And
Googled
in
it. It's 89.
Okay, so in 89, that was cool, right? Like TV dinners, that was cool. Like it was innovative. And we were like,
Put
yeah,
those in the
we
science
should do
box.
this.
Like, let's radiate the heck out of them. Right?
Yeah, let's put it in the microwave. Like all these things. Like I don't think that this is humanity coming out and trying to be vindictive and mean and have evil intent to hurt people. But Like, you talk about how food feels in your body and noting when you're hungry and full. Like, many, many, many people don't know what that's like. And many, many kids don't know how to do that because
Yeah.
many, many foods are filled with things like monosodium glutamate, also known as MSG, that turn
Yeah.
off your mind and body's receptors when you're satiated. That's the chemical purpose. That's what it does. It makes it more tasty and it makes you want to come back for more, and it changes your biochemical pathways so that you don't feel
Yeah.
satiated. And we wonder why our country is obese and has type 2 diabetes. It's astronomical
Yeah.
how quickly our biochemistry has changed as human beings. And unfortunately, the science can't keep up because we don't have the studies. The longevity studies are just now starting to come out. And it's like we don't know, in combination with certain pharmaceuticals, in combination with whatever, soda, with a GMO modified corn,
Yeah.
right? Like, I cannot eat non-organic corn chips.
Yeah.
It hurts my tummy so bad. But if I go get an organic corn chip, I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. There's something in how my body cannot process and not a GMO changed kernel of corn that affects my biochemistry in a way. And it might not affect Taylor's because
Or
my
I'm not aware of
biochemistry.
it. Probably it.
Right? So there's awareness. So, I mean, I think as you think about these things in your life and you have, your husband or your wife or your child who says, I can't eat that,
Mm.
you know, it's hard. I would say 25% to 50. A lot of my clients do not feel comfortable advocating for themselves at family dinners. Like, I can have clients who have crippling migraines because of MSG, or crippling stomach pain because of whatever pasteurized dairy, hormone laden dairy that they have. And they'll come in my office in June and we get them off of things and they feel great and they don't have stomach pain because they've changed their diet and they don't have crippling headaches. And then Thanksgiving comes around and they can't tell their mother-in-law that they can't eat the gravy because it's not going to feel well on their body.
Well, it can we? I mean, I know this is. I just want to say this because I think there's a spot of where these become almost a fad too. I'm not saying that people don't have real experiences of the real pain in their bodies, but I think it's also like it just becomes trendy among, you know, whatever population. But like, where it's just like, well, we're going to eat gluten free. I mean, I find it hilarious that rice cereals would tell me that they're gluten free. I'm like,
So I'm going to push back on that a
well, I just
little
want to
bit.
acknowledge, and I'm not saying it's a truth. I'm just saying like there's social pressure involved as well.
I think
That
the
and there's
trendiness.
confusion from the maybe older generations because they don't understand because they don't have the same experiences. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's like, and then there's like social pressure among peers or online presences. Like I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not giving it. I'm just wanting like there. I've heard people say like I literally ask, well, why are you off gluten? Well, I just got off gluten. I'm like, I mean, which is
I
fine, but
Yeah,
like
I would push back and just say I think the trendiness and like the packaging, some of it's coming from corporate
sure.
businesses trying to get money and play that
Well,
card.
isn't that what this whole
And
thing's about with production anyway? Is money? So.
in the United States, yeah.
So
I mean, we follow the money in the United States. That's your bottom line with anything. New product, follow the money. But I think the social aspect, what like your clients that you ask, why are you gluten free? I think it's because they're searching for an
mhm.
answer to make them feel better. And they don't know. And so it's like, well, so and so went gluten free, right? Like you even
Yeah.
said that in your episode, Kirsten, of
Initially,
like,
it was just recommended to me and I didn't know
right,
why, except
to
apparently it's
try it.
gonna lower inflammation. I was like, I'll try anything.
Sure.
Right. But the reason why, if we get down, and we're still discovering this, I'm going to say this now, and in a year, it's probably going to be wrong. But from what I've seen, in my practice clinically, some people have celiac disease, right? That is an absolute, you cannot handle your immune response to
Absolutely. Yeah.
gluten is a certain way, right? That's celiac disease. Then there's sensitivities. Now, what I'm finding is that we're not meant to be food sensitive. Again, God made our bodies great. Like we are supposed to eat from the earth, and that includes gluten. It includes fruit and sugar from fruit, right? Like you don't have to go sugar free. But what's happened is because of genetic modification, because of food additives that come in on sugar and wheat and gluten. And now what we're seeing is because of the prolific use of things like herbicides and pesticides, because of Roundup ready plants and all of these things that we're doing in our processing and growing of food in the United States, we have bodies that are biochemically maladapted. They are struggling to handle this new formulation of food. And it's not a political thing. It's not a belief thing. It's just everybody's physiology is different. And you cannot deny somebody else if they say eating this hurts my tummy, right? But it's like, why is it? And what I'm finding is that my parents' generation, so my mom and dad were born in the 50s. Their grandparents had farms. We were from Southeastern Ohio, had small like land that they were growing their vegetables on, eating food from the earth, doing their thing. They weren't big farmers. My mom and dad like didn't really have any health issues, right? I'm a kid of the 80s, lived off of, hot dogs and mac and cheese coming home from kindergarten, like sitting on a TV tray, like eating my, more processed foods of Kraft. But even if you compare Kraft labels from 1982 to Kraft labels in 2022, Kraft changed things, right? They've reformulated things so it's a little cheaper. They can chemically enhance stuff and it changes. And then you have us kids from the 80s who started eating these formulated foods. Then our kids have different issues because it does affect our genetics. It does. We talked about that in that episode of, turning on and off genes.
Mhm.
Like, and these are all things that are still being discovered. And unfortunately, research doesn't hit the mainstream media until about 15 to 20 years after it's done. That's just a fact. Like what they're researching about food additives right now is not going to hit the world unless you're digging for it, unless you're out there and you're looking and you're a practitioner or whatever. So that's the hard space, right? Because mainstream only knows what they know. And then you've got other stuff that's coming up in research, but it hasn't become mainstream. And so, unless you're on the front lines and seeing it in a practice, like you just don't know. So, all that to say, like, we're going to dig into these in more specific episodes.
Hold on, I got one point.
Yeah, please.
The turn back to the emotional for just a second.
Oh, yeah.
And so your microbiome, your gut, like this is like, your intestines where all the absorption of all your food and all the chemicals, the chemical reactions that are taking place is in your gut. When the Bible references your heart, it's speaking the center of your emotions, which is actually your gut. All your emotions reside in your gut. And so, like, it's not so much, or at least stem from the awareness of your gut. Like, I mean, there is a lot of nerves coming in there, and the vagus nerve coming down from your brainstem, innervating through all your organs, through your intestines, through all the way to your colon. Like, I mean, like, that is your sensing nerve for awareness. And so, like, we cannot say that what you eat does not impact your emotional world emphatically. So just want to kind of
Oh,
bring
absolutely.
it back around, bring a little bit of a creationism into that. Like we are made to eat of the earth. We are made to connect with each other. We're made to enjoy things. But
Yeah.
I think we've maybe as a world lost our way and made money the idol and not the pursuit of God the foundation. So
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I say such for, I mean, because and be curious, right?
exactly.
If you're suffering with some sort of health symptom or your child is, and you're like, I don't know what to do, there are many kids who are mislabeled ADD and ADHD, and really they're having a nervous system or an immune reaction to food additives. I see it every day in the practice. And we can take kids off of, yellow number 5, red 40. Those things, they really do affect the brain. And that's why other countries have banned them, because the research is there.
Yeah.
And that's, why moms across America, you can check them out. You can check out, is it Vani Hari? Food Babe is her name. She has a lot of research out there. I like Moms Across America because they're doing all kinds of research on the foods that kids eat the most, like cereals and goldfish and General Mills type products. Those articles and the research are on that website. Moms Against Fluoridation, right? There's been a lot happening in the Supreme Court the last 24 months about fluoride in the water. And if you want to read the research or learn more, that's a website you can go to. These are things that we're doing at our office every day, helping people understand, like, how do we decrease the chemical or toxic load so that the body has a better environment in which to heal.
Yeah.
And
We
that's
just want to encourage you, like, people to just do the research and come to a conclusion on your own without just taking whoever, whether it's us or any health official anywhere, at face value. Like, read the research, come to your own conclusion. Like,
well, but sometimes it's hard to find out where the research
absolutely. I mean,
is.
that part is true, but I'm just saying, like, I want, like, critically think through this instead of just taking things at face value.
And honestly, I would encourage people to do what Kirsten did. Be curious about your body and not fearful. If you're experiencing a symptom, you can do elimination diets are wonderful. And find a friend who's going to help hold you accountable and say, let's just see what this does, right? Do it with your family. Teach your kids. I mean, that's one thing we've taught our children
Yeah.
is like, how do you, and they're not perfect,
Good
right?
Lord,
We
no.
eat cookie cake,
Yeah.
but like this space of, you know, this symptom could be coming from this food additive. And the next time you eat that, say, hey, let's watch for that this time. You don't have this symptom right now. Go ahead and eat that bag of Cool Ranch Doritos and let's see how it goes. And then they eat it, and 20 minutes later, that symptom's there, right? The skin flares up, the eczema gets worse, the hyperactivity. Like one of our kids would eat food like that, and then there was no like you like look me in the eyes. Where are you at? Where you like the listening just fell off, and that is a neural inflammation reaction. That's exactly what that is, and so I think teaching moments are the best with kids because someday I'm not going to be there to tell my kids not to eat that food. And if I can connect for them that symptom and say, look, your headache started after you did that. That's not a shame thing. That's now you know how your body works best and how it doesn't. So I think equipping and empowering our children, not fear, not, blah, 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 like, no, like just try it and see how your body feels. And when you feel uncomfortable or bloated or constipated because you ate that, great. That's your body telling you toxic load, please stop,
And that's why elimination diets, or one of the reasons elimination diets work so well, is because you're just decreasing the toxic load that you're putting in your body. If somebody cuts out gluten, there are all kinds of chemicals sprayed on the wheat that contains the gluten. Those chemicals are also sprayed on rice and oats. And so if you continue to eat rice and oats and you've also cut out gluten, you cut out a third of the inflammatory products that you're taking in. So
yeah,
that's just a decision that they then have to field. How much of it do I want to cut out?
well, and your biochemistry is wired to only be able to handle, again, matter has limitations. So I always say this with my clients, like an elimination diet what's happening is that if you're eating food that's toxic or inflammatory, your body has to take care of the main issue, right? It's like if you're at your house and you have 3 kids, one's kind of whimpering because something's happening, one's kind of just being hyperactive and like spastic, but one just cut off his finger, you're gonna take care of the one that cut the finger off. The other 2, okay, we'll get to them later.
Yeah.
So if you think about your physiology in that way, if you're constantly eating soda or drinking soda, no water, you're a soda and Doritos kind of gal, your body, that's high inflammation. Your body is focusing on that all the time.
Yeah.
Every time you eat. If you're a fast foodie, every time you eat, your body is only focused on that. And all these underlying kind of sizzling embers of fires aren't getting taken care of because you just can't. But when you take that stuff out, the 5 alarm fire is gone and your physiology is freed up to start saying, oh, this kid over here has been whimpering for a long time. Let's go take care of that. Or, right. So it decreases liver enzyme. Like you start to see these physiologic changes. You see them in blood chemistry, whatever symptoms start to change. And it might not be because you have celiac. It might be because of whatever was coming in off that food. And now your body can start taking care of the other things to heal. So anyways, again, probably another episode, but
I think that's good. I think we should wrap there. If we start talking again, we're going to keep going, and it's going to be well over an hour. So we just do it.
I agree.
All right.
I agree.
Thank you for joining us. Thanks for listening to the New Dominion podcast. We are so glad that you came and hope that you will come and listen to us again. If you enjoyed this conversation, like our episode on your podcast platform, leave us a review or comment because it will help other people find us, and feel free to share it. We will see you again next time.